the second half of the 20th century, the golden age of hi-fi began. The market saw the emergence of unique Akai GX912 cassette deck with automatic calibration and the popular Akai GX201G reel-to-reel tape recorders, which won the hearts of countless music lovers. The magnificent Akai GX77 still excites collectors' imagination, while the legendary Akai GX747, an untenable dream of millions, retain its status of a highly desirable and truly exceptional device. During that era, Akai produced not only reel-to-reel and cassette tape recorders, but also speaker systems, vinyl turntables, professional equipment for musicians, and other audio devices. How did a company with multi-billion-dollar revenue, one that created one of the most advanced lines of audio equipment, end up bankrupt and nearly disappear from the market? Why did more than 100,000 of its employees lose their jobs almost overnight? Who was responsible for the collapse, and how did it all happen? Greetings, dear friends. My name is Akai, and I'm the founder of Premium Hi-Fi in Riga, where we help people find their perfect sound. In this video, we will travel back in time to uncover the reasons behind the downfall of a company beloved by millions of audiophiles. We will also take a closer look at the most iconic and popular audio equipment models that Akai produced in the past century. Enjoy the video. Imagine a small workshop in Tokyo in the late 1920s. Modest premises, a handful of employees, and among them an energetic young man named Saburo, who spent his evenings studying at Tokyo Institute of Technology. He absorbed knowledge on the fly, and in his spare time, alongside his father, Masukishi Akai, conducted experiments with electric motors and radio components. This is how the story of Akai Electric Company began. Saburo grew up surrounded by relays and coils, studied schematic late into the night, and realized that the true engine of progress was, quite literally, the engine itself. In 1933, as the company expanded, the family managed to rent an entire factory in the Kamata district. Akai began producing compact electric motors for 16mm film projectors. At the time, this format was a novelty in Japan, and demand was high. Competitors were larger, but no one else could offer a box that worked quietly and reliable. However, the Second World War crippled the business. Saburo was drafted into the army, and Masukishi had to sell the factory. It seemed like everything was lost forever. But after the war, Saburo found a job as the engineer at Sawat Fuji Electric, gained valuable connectors, and most importantly, never lost faith in his dream. Soon, he managed to buy back the factory premises, and by 1948, the company once again carried the name Akai Electric Company. One of its most in-demand products was motor for vinyl, and earlier shellac, record players, at the time the stars of the music market. In 1951, Akai created C5, a motor for turntables, with variable speed control, minimal noise and vibration. Audiophiles of the time were thrilled, as even the slightest rustle interfered with the enjoyment of music. Word about Akai's pure sound spread instantly across the United States. Saburo realized, Americans love high-quality technology, and if we can impress them, we have a chance at a breakdown. He placed an advertisement in electronic magazine and received orders from overseas. Now, the company was no longer confined to the Japanese market. It was stepping onto the global stage. But the real breakthrough for Akai in the global market happened thanks to Robert Metzner, the founder of Roberts Electronics. It all started around 1953 when a vinyl record player with an unusual motor was brought in for repair at California, a company owned by Metzner. The motor intrigued the employees, and upon further investigation, they discovered that the patent number on it were registered to Saburo Akai. This was how Robert first learned about Akai. Metzner tracked down Saburo Akai and asked him directly, "If you are not producing these motors, give me the tooling to manufacture them. But if you are making them, I am ready to become your dealer in the United States." Akai responded swiftly by sending a brochure about its motors along with demo recording from its tape recorders. From that moment, orders from America began to grow at an explosive rate. Although Akai has assumed that the US market could bring success, no one expected such a flood of requests. Puzzled by the scale of shipments, Saburo Akai asked Robert, "Mr. Robert, why you need so many turntable motors?" In response, he received a Robert's tape recorder, inside which was one order that the very same Akai vinyl motor, but with some modifications. Without hesitation, Saburo Akai and his team copied the model and sent it back to the United States. However, when Robert examined the device, he criticized its quality. In post-war Japan, many manufacturing industries were still in their infancy and from an American perspective remained somewhat rude. Nevertheless, his feedback was constructive. He urged Akai to focus not on cheap solutions, but on achieving the level of Ampex, which already has an outstanding reputation. Soon after, Robert sent an Ampex 600 unit to Japan, so that Akai engineers could study it. After some time, Robert received an improved version. Akai had essentially borrowed the basic design of Ampex. Early Akai and Robert recorders indeed looked similar, but their electronic and mechanics differed from the original. At that point, Robert Electronics Incorporation signed an agreement under which Akai would manufacture equipment strictly according to Robert's specification and ship it from Japan to the United States. In America, Roberts inspected each unit before selling it. At the time, Japanese technology was still met with skepticism. Moreover, Robert Metzer secured exclusive right for the North American market and sold Akai tape recorders under the Robert brand. Meanwhile, Akai offered the same models to the rest of the world under its own logo, while paying royalties to Metzner. This agreement remained in place until 1972, when Akai decided to take the risk of entering the US market independently. To maintain close business relations, Robert Metzner learned Japanese and starting in 1958 made 12 trips to Japan. This forged a strong connection with Saburo Akai, the founder of Akai in 1929, which lasted until Saburo's death in 1973. And although many in America still adopted the quality of Japanese products, the partnership between Roberts and Akai paved the way for future success, and perhaps also for the contradictions that would later lead to the legendary company's tragic downfall. So, let's take a look at the models that Akai delighted music lovers and audiophiles with in 1950s. In 1954, Akai made its first serious attempt to enter the tape recording segment by introducing the AT1 model. It was not a classic ready-to-use tape recorder, but rather a kit that users could assemble themselves. This approach helped reduce production costs, which was especially relevant in the post-war years. One enthusiast, Nutawat Bonsinthai, managed to restore a surviving unit. Take a look at what he accomplished with. Despite its simple design, the AT1 had surprisingly decent specification for its time. The device worked with 6.35mm tape and supported speeds of 9.53 and 19.05 cm per second, typical for consumer reel-to-reel tape recorders of that era. It featured a tube-based amplifier with a power output of 1.5 watts. The frequency range spanned approximately 50 Hz to 12 kHz, depending on the type tape and selected speed, a respectable performance for the mid-1950s. Additionally, the tape recorder was equipped with a 15 cm elliptical speaker. However, the AT1's greatest advantage was that it served as a laboratory for Akai engineers. Here, they refined tape vending principle, tested new components, and gathered feedback from their first international partners. The AT1's modest success inspired Saburo Akai to continue developing tape recorders. It is fair to say that AT1 was the first step without which Akai might have remained merely a supplier of electric motors. Today, the AT1 is a rare find for collectors and a valuable artifact for the company's history, one that, just a couple of decades later, would reveal the iconic GX series of reel-to-reel tape recorders and earn its reputation as a leader of analog audio technology. Just 2 years later, the Akai Recorder 900 was introduced, a fully commercial product that further solidifies the brand's presence in the reel-to-reel segment. For Akai, this was the first mass-produced monophonic reel-to-reel tape recorder designed for the consumer market. While the AT1 was more a workshop experiment, the Akai 900 demonstrated a serious approach. A tube-based amplifier, tape speeds of 9.53 or 19.05 cm per second, and a neat, albeit not luxurious, wooden casing. For the mid-1950s, this format was competitive both in terms of sound quality and aesthetic. Why was the Akai 900 such a crucial step? First, it transformed the company from a group of experimenters into a full-fledged audio equipment manufacturer. Second, thanks to the 900 and its positive reception in international markets, Akai was able to strengthen its collaboration with Robert Electronic, paving the way for entry into the United States. From this point on, Akai was no longer just assembling small test batches of equipment. It was ramping up serial production, refining its mechanics, and improving its tape transport system to make it more reliable and easier to maintain. The Akai 900 laid the engineered foundation upon which an entire tape recorder empire would be built, spanning from the M7 and MA models to the legendary GX series. Even then, Akai's signature strategy was becoming evident: to offer an affordable yet high-quality product. This philosophy of accessible hi-fi helped the company earn the trust of customers worldwide. Today, the Akai 900 is a rare find of the vintage market. Not all units have withstood the test of time, and collector demand is high. However, in the brand's history, this model remains a key milestone, the first true achievement that proved Akai could do more than just make motors and component kits. It was now capable of producing complete devices that could compete with well-known American and European brands. The story of Akai is one of big ambitions, innovation, success, and deception. We are still at the beginning of this journey. In the 1960s, Akai was just stepping onto the path that would eventually lead to its spectacular downfall. Everyone believed in success, and no one was expecting failure. In 1958, Saburo Akai replaced his father as president of the company, visited America, and was stunned by the sheer scale of the market. Akai received yet another push toward growth and took its operation to the next level. But merely understanding the market was not enough. A technological advantage was needed. After all, Akai was not the only manufacturer of reel-to-reel tape recorders, and Akai found its edge. Let's take a look at the model the Japanese engineer created in the 6th decade of the century. Already stereophonic, the Akai M8 and Robert 770X were essentially the same model, produced by Akai. The M8 was sold under its own brand in Japan and international markets, while the 770X was marketed under the Roberts brands for North America. In the mid-1960s, Akai introduces the crossfield system in its reel-to-reel tape recorders for the first time, a technology borrowed from the concept developed by the Norwegian company Tenberg. This innovation allowed high frequencies to be recorded with much greater clarity than in traditional designs, becoming one of Akai's key competitive advantages in the analog audio market. In conventional tape recorders, the bias signal and the audio signal are recorded using the same head, which can lead to partial erasure of high-frequency sounds. Another head erases the previous recording. Crossfield added a third bias head, positioned opposite the main recording head, allowing high frequencies to embed in the upper layer of magnetic coating without the risk of being overwritten. This technology extended the upper frequency range to 13 kHz at 4.76 cm per second and up to 20 to 25 kHz at 19 cm per second. Competitors needed twice the tape speed to achieve similar results, which means using twice as much tape. And just like today, tape was never free. Thanks to crossfields, Akai's recording system provided clean playback even at low speeds, making their reel-to-reel recorders highly popular among audiophiles and semi-professionals. The successful implementation of crossfield in the Akai M8 and Robert 770X marked the beginning of an entire line of reel-to-reel tape recorders, where Akai engineers continued to refine the design and enhance their proprietary recording technology. This breakthrough secured Akai's position among the top manufacturers of analog audio equipment and laid the foundation for its later legendary series of reel-to-reel tape recorders. When discussing Akai's legendary tape recorders, we cannot overlook the Akai X355, also known as the Roberts 400X. First of all, these were Akai's first tape recorder with remote control. However, the remote had to be connected via a cable to a special port. Infrared technology had yet not been invented. In addition to crossfield and the remote control, Akai introduced a full array of revolutionary features in 1965. Automatic reverse. Tape recorder could automatically switch tape direction, allowing for uninterrupted playback. Auto stop and auto power off. The unit could stop at the end of the tape or shut off completely. Multi-track recording. The sound on sound and sound without functions, allowing new track to be recorded over existing ones, creating layered compositions. Echo effect, a feature for those who loved experimenting with sound recording. Furthermore, the Akai X355 was equipped with a hysteresis synchronous motor for smooth tape rotation and additional induction motors for rewinding. This ensured stability and minimal speed deviation. But that's not all. The Akai X355 was designed for serious performance. Its amplifier delivered 20 watts per channel of distortion-free sound, which was impressive for its time. The built-in 16cm speakers provided clean and rich audio, while the casing was meticulously designed, allowing the unit to be used in both horizontal and vertical position. The maximum supported reel size of 10 inches made it a versatile tool for both home and studio use. Guys, this is simply an incredible analog marvel from the mechanical wonders of the 1960s. By the way, it was quite expensive. If anyone knows its price in today's equivalent, leave a comment below. Let's wrap up the 1916 with the unique Akai X1800 SD. This magnificent reel-to-reel recorder had the ability to record onto 8-track cartridges, a format that never truly gained worldwide popularity. For that very reason, the Akai X1800 SD was not a common household device, a rare and unique collector's item. By the late 1960s, the first signs of impending trouble began to emerge. Thanks to strict quality control and the use of the most advanced technologies, Akai's equipment was selling in the hundreds of thousands of units worldwide. This led to increasingly complex financial flows and a growing need for more management oversight. Akai managed to keep up, but success can be blinding. Mr. Saburo Akai had to acquire new skills and bring in new specialists. All of this led to some rather unexpected consequences. Despite emerging difficulties, the 1970s became a true golden era for Akai. The company introduced a range of innovation that fundamentally changed the perception of high-quality audio equipment. Until 1972, its products were sold in the United States under the Roberts brand. But from 1973, Akai was finally able to enter the American market independently. To facilitate this, a subsidiary was established in California, Akai America Limited. However, at the same time, the company suffered a major shock. On the New Year of 1973, Saburo Akai passed away. The death of its founder meant more than just the loss of the leader. It was the loss of a visionary and an inspiration. Many employees noted that it was Saburo who set the direction for all K products, boldly invested in new technologies, and had the ability to ignite enthusiasm on those around him. With his departure, the company lost the unflying force that connected engineers, designers, and executives into a cohesive team of enthusiasts. There were no host of successors with a comparable vision and leadership scale. Internal dispute began at the management level, while the electronic market was evolving rapidly, demanding clear and decisive leadership. On the surface, Akai remained a successful audio equipment manufacturer, popular worldwide, but internally, the lack of strong leadership slowly began eroding the company. For a while, Akai continued moving forward on interior, relying on its previously accumulated potential, but it was already missing critical opportunities of the internal stage. Nevertheless, Akai engineers continued producing high-quality tape recorders and amplifiers, which remained valued by audiophiles and professionals worldwide. However, without a strong visionary leader, Akai soon lost its former unity, and the following decades became a period of constant changes and increasing uncertainty. The questions of what made Akai one of the most popular brands of the decade remains relevant. A major factor was its unique engineering solution, especially in the field of tape heads and recording systems. And now, a commercial break.
Hey man, the music's gonna turn you on. You turn. Cántame on.
Akai's okay. Okay?
One of Akai's most groundbreaking innovations was the GX heads, glass ferrite magnetic heads, known for their exceptional durability and stable performance characteristics. The unique combination of ferrite and glass provided resistance to wear and corrosion. Thanks to this, even after extended use, Akai claimed the heads had a lifespan of 150,000 hours, comparing to just 3 to 4,000 hours for standard heads. Sound quality remained intact. These heads allowed for an extended frequency range, making them highly relevant for both the high and low ends of audio spectrum. At the same time, Akai continued refining its cross-field technology, which was initially borrowed from Tandberg's concepts. As a result, Akai type recorders provided a frequency response that competing device could only achieve a higher tape speeds. Additionally, during the 70s, the Dolby noise reduction system was actively introduced, significantly reducing tape hiss, a crucial feature, especially for the emerging cassette deck market. Akai also implemented automatic tape calibration technology in its cassette decks, allowing optimal recording quality regardless of the type of tapes used. In 1972, the stereo cassette deck GXC65 and GXC65D stunned the market as the first cassette deck in the world to feature glass ferrite heads. Their design included a ferrite core coated with a special glass layer, providing extra protection against wear and dirt. The ADR, automatic distortion reduction system, automatically adjusted the record equalizer, improving linearity and reducing distortion. Meanwhile, the invert-o-matic function allowed the cassette to flip automatically, enabling seamless playback for both sides. Later, the 700 series of cassette deck became incredibly popular. One standout model was the Akai GXC750D, a three-head design featuring a three-motor transport system, and glass ferrite GX heads, with a relatively high price tag, around $720 in the late 70s. This unit stood out for its robust chassis, Dolby B noise reduction, and support for multiple tape types. Another major hit was the Akai GX F90, released around 1979. Its signature feature was a three-head design with a Super GX head and a dual-motor system, one capstan motor and a separate motor for the reels. Akai's proprietary logic control system ensured precise operation on all functions, while the IPLC system made it easy to quickly find specific section on the tape. The unit was equipped with a 4-position selector for different type tapes: normal, chrome, ferrochrome, metal. A Dolby NR system separates circuits for recording and playback, an NPX filter to protect against radio interference. These features made the GX-F90 one of the most technologically advanced Akai models of the late 70s. During the 70s, Akai continued producing reel-to-reels models, among which the Akai GX630D held a special place. This recorder was built with a focus on durability. The direct drive system eliminated the needs of belts, reducing vibration and wear. At its core was an AC servo motor with CPG system ensuring high precision speed stabilization. The use of GX had significantly improved recording and playback quality, with a frequency range reaching 26 kHz and 19 cm per second, an impressive specification for that era. The GX630D featured a two-position tape selector, convenient feature touch control buttons, attention adjustment mechanisms for reel of different sizes, and the ability to combine line-in and microphone inputs during recording. Other standout features included a quick pause system, allowing instant restart without signal loss, and remote control capability, making it an excellent choice for both home and studio use. The 1970s solidified Akai's place in the high-end audio equipment segment, offering long-lasting solutions, advanced magnetic heads, and improved recording and noise reduction systems. The expansion of Akai's product lineup from cassette decks to large formats reel-to-reel recorders helped the brand gain loyalty across a broad audience, from casual music lovers to professional studios. However, the passing of Saburo Akai in 1973 left Akai without clear strategic leadership. Despite maintaining a strong reputation and continuing to produce competitive products, the company gradually faced serious management and financial challenges, which the following decades escalated into prolonged monetary and organization difficulties. Nevertheless, the 70s built Akai's legendary reputation as a manufacturer capable of combining innovation, reliability, and outstanding sound quality. The 1980s saw a rapid transformation in the audio equipment market. Compact cassettes and cassette decks surged in popularity, while vinyl record sales plummeted. During this decade, Akai engineers created some of the most sophisticated cassette recorders and outstanding reel-to-reel machines, reaching the peak of the company's technological expertise. However, new opportunities inevitably brought new challenges. The first warning sign was the rapid rise of the compact disc. Akai did not anticipate this newcomer to the industry would have such a significant impact on a massive market where the company had held a strong position. At the same time, Akai's lack of clear strategic management further complicated its response to the challenges of the new era. But all good things must come to an end. By the mid-80s, other warning signs emerged. Competition anticipates with industry giants such as Sony and Panasonic. Korean manufacturers began demonstrating growing stage. Japan's economic difficulties started to escalate. Yet, outwardly, Akai remained one of the leading companies, its equipment still shown in store displays, and the market eagerly awaited its next innovation. So, let's take a moment to forget the troubles ahead and immerse ourselves in the engineering brilliance of Akai in the 1980s, the era in which the company fully unleashed its innovative potential. Let's start with perhaps the most unusual device, GX77. This model features reverse recording and playback, support for so-called EE tapes, and Akai's proprietary lambda loading system. EE tapes, or extended efficiency, used high-density magnetic materials similar to those found in video cassettes and chrome tapes for compact cassettes. This allowed for an extended upper frequency range. The key feature of the GX77 was its unique design. When recording or playback modes were engaged, the tape would automatically take the shape of the Greek letter lambda. This lambda loading solution minimized the tape's contact with unnecessary components and ensured more stable movement in both directions. One of Akai's signature technologies was glass-free GX heads, which were further improved in the GX77, enhancing dynamic characteristics and reducing distortion. As a result, the device handled even higher coherivity EE tapes, delivering a clean recording at frequencies up to 33 kHz at a speed of 19 cm per second. In short, the GX77 was a true technological powerhouse, impressive and astonishing even by today's standards. The next model, GX365, or its modification 365D. Although it debuted in the early 70s, the unit remained in demand into the next decade, largely due to its versatility. The device was equipped with Akai's legendary glass-free heads, dedicated separately for recording, playback, and erasing, allowing real-time monitoring. You could listen to what you just recorded. Inside is housed 3 motors, one hysteresis synchronous motor for the capstan, and 2 6-pole external rotor motors for the reels. Additionally, the GX365 was packed with automatical function, Computomatic, automatic recording level settings, Reversomatic, auto reverse, as well as sound on sound and sound with sound mechanisms, enabling track layering. Akai introduced such innovation to the market long before the advent of digital audio workstations. Even in the 80s, despite increasing competition and the emergence of new models, the GX365 and 365D remained popular and in demand. And finally, the GX747, the pinnacle of perfection. Akai introduced this model around 1981, marketing is a system that surprised everything created before. This model, developed in collaboration with leading tape manufacturers, Maxell, TDK and TIC, established the EE tape standard and fully utilized its potential. With EE position support, the device delivered significantly improved high-frequency reproduction, low noise levels, and impressive overload resistance. Everything in the GX747 was upgraded. From the new GX head, designed featuring improved magnetic cores and enhanced durability, to an AC servo motor with a sample and hold circuit, similar to the one used in the GX635D, but refining nearly to perfection. Control logic was transferred to microprocessors, and a symmetrical type patch system ensured consistent sound quality in both forward and reverse directions. The unit offered quick direction changes, auto reverse, programmable turnaround points via the contour, pitch adjustment, and automatic optimization for different reel diameters. Additionally, the GX747 was often praised for its stable tape transport speed. Its wow and flutter values were minimal. When it comes to the best of the best in Akai lineup, the GX747 is still regarded by many audiophiles as the pinnacle of engineering in the era of analog recording. Akai ceased reel-to-reel DAC production in 1985 after releasing the GX747, ending a 31-year journey that began with Akai's first tape recorder kit Z81. To replace reel-to-reel DACs, Akai shifted its focus entirely to the development of cassette DAC. This turned out to be a major strategic mistake. After all, it was the 80s, and digital audio was on the rise. If it had been the only mistake, Akai might have managed to recover. But after the loss of Saburo Akai, missteps began piling up like a snowball. However, it was during this time that some of the greatest cassette DAC of the 20th century were created. Let's take a look at what the Japanese engineers came up with. It was an era when the world was increasingly fascinated by portable sound recording and playback, and compact cassettes were rapidly replacing bulky reel-to-reel recorders and turntables. This was the time when a certain cassette DAC became a symbol of high-end audio and won the hearts of audiophiles worldwide. From the very first glance at the Akai GX55, it was clear. The true flagship, its price was affordable for most music lovers, only made the GX-F9 even more desirable. In addition, the GF95 was also produced, costing more. An innovation of the 80s, auto-calibration on the cassette. The wheel clicker analyzes the parameters and after selected the optimal values via equalizer and recording sensitivity. Particularly remarkable was the independent dual adjustment in the GF95. The other and sensor were calibrated one each side, while bias adjusted in parallel. Additionally, during after tuning, the DAC's initial section of the tape properties were most unstable by automatically fast-forwarding a more precise calibration. It was precisely this autotune along with Akai personal breakthrough that kept the company forward. The step provided incredibly in demand as manually setting cassette recordings was something only professionals would manage. A more able yet no less advanced model, a GX9012. Main feature of the GX90 was its automatic calibration. By that time, function ready appearing on high-end cassettes, but Akai implemented exceptional precision. The machine determined the optimal bias, ether, and recording for a tape. The parameters were did on a small electronic screen, leaving the user with just one button press. Of course, the GX12 was equipped with Akai's GX head, by the component load factor with impressive consistency. Trail returns of even 100,000 of hours, giving of eternity like conventional eternity. Of the GX9 was equipped with Akai GX heads by Company had. Of course, GX9 was equipped with Akai's glass GX heads, which by 10 the company wanted to manufacture which persistently. Chair pen rated. Of course, the GX912 was equipped with Akai's glass ferrite GX heads, which by 10 the company had learned to manufacture which impressive consistently. Chair lifespan rated in tens of even hundreds of thousands of hours leave a feeling of eternity, unlike conventional permalloy heads, which significantly degraded after just a few years of active use. Inside the DAC, two independent motors worked, one for the capstan and another for real drive. This design improved tape stability and reduced vibrations. The Dolby B noise reduction system, with Dolby C appearing in later models and some versions for the European market, helped minimize hiss when recording or normal and chrome tapes. Visually, the GX912 looked a bit more modest than its flagship sisters, but this made it more accessible and popular among a wider audience. For Akai, models like this generated the bulk of sales in the 1980s. Elegant design, reliable mechanisms, and signature sound, everything a true music lover needed. By the mid-1980s, Akai seemed like one of the pillars of the audio industry. Its luxurious GX series reel-to-reel decks, popular cassette decks GXF90, GXF95, GX9012 and others, properly amplifiers and speakers all brought in stable revenue. The company maintained a sizable staff of engineers, operated multiple factories in Japan and abroad, and its logo was well known not only in the United States and Europe, but also in Asian markets. But the electronic industry was changing rapidly. Compact discs were confidently entering the stand, and by the end of the decade, digital sound and new digital formats like DAT, DCC and mini disc were gaining traction. Consumers began favoriting the simplicity and versatility of the new formats, while fans of precise and smooth analog sound found themselves increasingly in the minority. Furthermore, Akai lacked the powerful backing of companies like Sony or Panasonic, which could afford large investment in digital audio research. Philips, in partnership with Sony, aggressively promoted and licensed CD technology, while brands like TIG, Tascam, Technics, and others quickly aligned with the new standard. Faced with this rapid technological shift, Akai doubled down on improving cassette decks, including high-end models close to hi-fi, much like ill-fated Nakamichi. However, it was in no hurry to fully restructure its production around CDs and digital recorders. It was as if the company had slipped through the moment when the compact disc transitioned from a novelty into the future mainstream. After the death of its founder, Saburo Akai, in 1973, the company lacked a charismatic leader capable of firmly and visually steering it through a period of change. Throughout the 1980s, internal conflicts within Akai's boards of directors escalated. Some executives wanted to develop digital technologies and cut costs, while conservative veterans insisted on preserving the traditional focus on analog hi-fi and improving reel-to-reel and cassette technologies. They had a significant advantage. After all, up until the mid-80s, tape recording had been growing continuously and had reached its peak. No one knew this was the summit, only to be followed by a steep decline. But tell me, who in 1985, in their right mind, would abandon a decades-long trend of growing sales and step into the uncertain, untested world of digital audio? At that moment, Akai truly stood on the edge. And it wasn't a crossroad with two relatively favorable outcomes. The decision being made would determine the future of the company and the livelihoods of hundreds of thousands of employees. Additional difficulties arose due to revaluation of the Japanese yen on the mid-80s, which hurt exports. Competitors from South Korea, Samsung, Goldstar, LG, began offering similar mass-market equipment at lower prices. Akai was forced to cut prices, sacrificing parts of its profits. The culmination of this management chaos was the decision to channel nearly all remaining resources into the development of cassette decks, a segment that by the late 1980s was already being squeezed out by CD players. Yet within the company, many still firmly believed that analog tape would not lose its position anytime soon. It was that moment that the company released IGX R99, remarkable technological masterpiece, unfortunately found itself amid the global shift of formats. In the GX99, Japanese engineers implemented advanced ideas, a rotate system, a 180-degree rotating Super GX head block, allowing playback in both directions without a loss, twin direct and double custom, two direct motors and two capstans ensuring both tape speed. CAP, computer recording clever press, a smart audio calibration audio capitalization system that to specific tape ingest efficiency. High-tuned amplifier, amplification circuit out and necessary capacitor and high-quality transistors provide high detail and low noise level. However, all the advancements and complex mechanisms which caused an astronomical amount of factor emerged due to rapid rise in popularity of comp discs. The world no longer needs expensive cassette decks. It needs more convenient digital player. That's why the GX99, despite being one of Akai's engineering goals, quickly lost relevance. He could save the company from subsequent financials and could not have the company from subsequent international troubles. In the 1980s, Akai itself in a difficult path. The market was rapidly linked towards compact disc and technologies, while Subbornik in the 1980s found itself in a difficult. The market was rapidly towards compact disc and technologies, while the company and could not save the company from the subsequent financial troubles. In the 1980s, Akai found itself in a difficult position. The market was rapidly shifting towards compact discs and digital technologies, while the company stubbornly continued developing cassette decks. However, it wouldn't be fair to say that Akai completely ignored the changes. One of its significant innovations was the introduction of an on-screen display, OSD, first implemented in video players in the late 1980s. Thanks to this feature, users no longer had to rely solely in tiny indicators and buttons on the device's body. All settings and control parameters were displayed directly on the television screens. In the 1990s, the on-screen menu gradually made its way into DVD players, becoming an integral part of consumer electronics. Let me remind you that Akai was a massive company focused on magnetic recording technology, but its factories produced a wide range of electronic, music centers, high-end equipment, vinyl turntables, microphones, televisions, VHS camcorders, and VRCs. The list of models could go on and on. And yet, even such advanced solution at the time could not save Akai from collapse. The global transition to digital audio and video, competition with giants like Sony and Panasonic, as well as financial miscalculation in a series of scandalous corporate deals. All of this led to the once innovative OSD menu becoming just a fleeting episode in the grand history of a once legendary company. And finally, a commercial break.
Every video cassette recorder has its own book of instructions. But most people find them complicated, confusing, and generally difficult to follow. Akai have changed all that. The new Akai PS3 gives you operating instructions on your own television screen. It tells you exactly what to do, which buttons to press for pre-recording and every necessary function. Even how much recording time you have left on your tape. No other video is as easy to operate. You can't miss. This infrared remote control operates all the functions of your Akai PS3. It will even change stations on your own television set. You can fast forward, freeze the picture you want, or even fast reverse. The new Akai PS3 has every feature you'll need, and only Akai give you on-screen instructions. With the new Akai PS3, you can't miss.
The year 1990 arrived. Sales were plummeting. No one was talking about profit anymore. The company's main concern was survival. And to survive, it has to produce high-quality products that were in demand at the best price. Akai was making excellent cassette decks, but by the 1990s, almost no one was buying them. Management was seeking investment to keep the massive company afloat. Technically, it wasn't difficult. In the 1990s, Akai's annual turnover was 40 billion Hong Kong dollars. That's right, 40 billion. Without much hesitation, Mitsubishi provided a loan. Here a common misconception arises that this was the same Mitsubishi that produced, among other things, the legendary Diaton acoustics. But that was not the case. This was the Japanese Mitsubishi Bank, which had no connection to the audio industry. The investments were securities. As a result, Akai found itself in debt by more than $1 billion. Let me remind you that in 1990s, the Asian financial crisis was wreaking havoc, severely damaging Japan's economy and significantly affecting Akai's future. The production of high-end audio recording equipment was almost entirely halted. Instead, under the once legendary brand, the company began producing primitive boomboxes and televisions, cassette players, and extremely unreliable video players. None of this technology had anything to do with the real Akai. The manufacturer's reputation began to decline rapidly. More investment had to be found, and that's when the most significant figure in Akai's downfall appeared, a man ready to invest. Of course, not with his own money. Meet James Tink. James Tink was born in Shanghai, but spent his youth in Hong Kong. His family had little money, so to build a career, he moved to Canada, studied at the University of Toronto, and according to his own words, worked as a janitor to pay for his education. It was this constant lack of money, the hunger, the inability to buy the same clothes as his peers, that made Tink bitter. No matter what, James was determined to become rich. After graduating in 1981, he founded Sci-Tech Microsystems with an office in Ontario and manufacturing somewhere in China, where labor costs were significantly cheaper. Initial capital was scarce until a certain figure appeared to the horizon. Macau gambling tycoon Stanley Hu, who needed to properly, meaning illegally, invest a large sum of money outside Hong Kong. From that moment, Sci-Tech transformed into Sci-Tech Global, as a golden flood of money rained down on the company, allowing him to acquire several small firms worldwide. Tink established himself as an energetic entrepreneur and a skilled negotiator. His insatiable desire for wealth relentlessly pushed him forward. Nothing could stop him. And then, such an incredible opportunity arose, one that the young and hungry James Tink grabbed with both hands. The first truly high-profile acquisition by James Tink was the sewing machine division on the famous Singer brand. In reality, this was an entire technological comparison where the sewing segment has long been a minor part of the business. Tink moved production to China, cutting costs and released low-quality products under the Singer brand, while boasting to investors about unprecedented success. And the investors believed him. His passion, energy, enthusiasm, and impressive financial results left no room for doubt. James Tink's motivation was no weaker than Saburo Akai's. But while Saburo sought perfection and created the world's best audio equipment accessible to nearly every audiophile, James Tink pursued only personal wealth, destroying everything on his path. Saburo shared his invention with the world and became an undisputed legend. James Tink hoarded everything for himself and became one of the biggest fraudsters on the planet. Upon entering Akai, James Tink had to introduce his own people into Akai's top management, under the guise of improving internal efficiency. Even though Akai was already fragmented by that time, synopsing money from the company was no easy task. It was then that James managed to bring some truly serious players under Site Global, which he later renamed Akai Corp or Akai Holding, taking advantage of market instability. Sansui, once a legendary manufacturer of audio equipment. Akai, the very same giant of analog hi-fi that we're discussing. TCL owned, a major television manufacturer in China. All these acquisitions were financed through new investment, which Tink secured in Canada, Hong Kong, and offshore companies in the Antilles. He lured investors with grand promises, beautiful reports, and personal charm. To the outside world, it looked like a unknown Canadian company was suddenly swallowing an entire conglomerate of global brands, including Akai. Oh, Tink, what a genius! In reality, however, by 1993, Tinkham increasingly resembled a house of cards. Hundreds of billions of dollars from investments and loans were vanishing into opaque financial flows, disappearing into offshore companies hidden behind big brand names. When the long-looming Asian financial crisis struck full force in 1997, the first major crack appeared in Zinger. In just 1 year, the company reported over $200 million in losses. But the greatest collapse was still ahead. Akai Holdings was next in line. After moving production to China, the cost of manufacturing decreased, but quality suffered, and actual sales, contrary to the reports, were not growing in the explosive pace climate. During this period of widespread instability, poor James Tink was fully enjoying the sudden wealth that has come his way. Money flowed like a river from the companies he was bankrupted into his offshore accounts, while two same companies were being injected with investor funds under the guise of increasing efficiency. This was precisely why Tink needed his own people in the management of every company. By the mid-1990s, rumors of James Henry Tink's lavish lifestyle spread through Hong Kong. At a time when Akai was already desperately struggling to survive, he seemed oblivious to the impending collapse. On the contrary, he behaved like a true king of life. It was said that Tink owned multiple yachts docked at various ports across Asia. According to legends, he could fly to Singapore for business, then hold investor meeting aboard his private vessel, in an atmosphere of refined seclazon, with champagne priced like fine Burgundy wine. Some whispered that such mini cruises often lasted until late at night and cost less than several $100,000 per weekend. Whenever he arrived in Hong Kong or Shenzhen, a Rolls-Royce was always waiting for him, not a rental, but his personal car, customized with rare leather seats and special modifications. His cars even followed him on international trips. Rumors suggested that Tink would ship his favorite vehicle in a container if he planned to stay in a new country for more than a couple of weeks. One of Tink's signature habits, signing key deals over lavish dinners at Michelin-starred restaurants, sparked both envy at the time and outrage today. In the famous Four Seasons Hotel in Vancouver, for example, he hosted exclusive private reception for high-profile investors. At the same time, he was always surrounded by bodyguards and assistants, some claiming that these men didn't just protect him but also ensured that no one could approach him with inconvenient questions about Akai's financial reports. Meanwhile, Akai's employees were scrambling to figure out how to finance the re-equipment of production lines, how to pay wage to factory workers and engineers. Tink, however, flew exclusively first class, and often on private jets. His business travel expense reports contained figures so shocking that ordinary Akai's employees were left speechless after all. Even the most high-end Akai DAC, the GX-F95, cost only about $1.5 of $2,000, a mere drop in the ocean compared to the cost of a single transatlantic flight for Ting and his entire entourage. Naturally, this extravagance impressed potential creditors. Investors saw a man exuding confidence, seemingly controlling an empire with billion-dollar assets. But there was a problem. Behind the dazzling facade of success, Akai was already crumbling from within. The company's budget had gaping holes, and the money Ting was throwing around wasn't from his personal fortune. It came from investor funds meant for business development, funneled through offshore transactions. Instead of advancing new technologies, the company was sinking deeper into a swamp of debt. Friends, imagine the end of 1999. The world is preparing to welcome new millennium. But in Akai's offices, the atmosphere is panic and confusion. The company's leadership admits to its largest creditors that it can no longer service its debts. How is this possible? Just a few months earlier, auditors from Ernst & Young officially confirmed that Akai had hundreds of millions of dollars on its accounts. So, where did his sudden financial black hole come from? Few people knew at the time that nearly all of Akai's liquid capital had long since disappeared into offshore accounts. Publicity, Akai still appeared to be a majestic ship in the audio industry, but internally, cracks were forming, and the hull was rapidly taking on water. In Akai accounting records, total chaos reigned. Money was being funneled into an obscure entry called Gun Holdings, which somehow received 100% of the group's gross profit. And when investigators looked into who owned Grand Holdings, the name they found was James Ting. By August 2000, the end has arrived. Akai Holdings officially declared bankruptcy. Behind this dry legal statement lay a true catastrophe. More than 100,000 people worldwide, employed in factories and offices, lost their jobs overnight. Major banks and investors were missing over $1 billion. The first question, of course, fell upon the top managers who had assisted Jim Ting. After all, do you really think he could have synapsed off $800 million all by himself? However, they had already secured their safe exit in advance and fled even before the official bankruptcy announcement. The auditors who signed off on the mysterious reports found themselves at the center of the scandal. Ernst & Young received multi-million-dollar fines for what we could deem it negligent auditing. But the main questions remained: where did those missing $800 million go, the ones that appeared in the official financial statements? Various hypotheses emerged on this topic, ranged from accounting errors to deliberate fraud, but the reality turned out to be far more convoluted and dramatic. One of the loudest corporate scandals in history erupted worldwide, dragging on for many years and leaving behind the legend of a great company that shone so brilliantly in the 70s and 80s, only to collapse into an abyss of debt and fraud. And this was far from the end of the history, as legal battles continued for many years and the missing millions were never found. But as for who was behind these scams and how a once unshakable brand spiraled toward its tragic downfall, we will discuss that next. The infamous James Ting was difficult to track down. Back in 1997, he left the city and, according to various reports, was hiding in Canada, taking advantage of the lack of the active extradition treaty. In 2003, he was finally detained, extradited to Hong Kong, and in 2005, he was sentenced him to 6 years in prison with asset confiscation. But the story didn't end there. A year later, Ting was supposed to be transferred to Canada for another case related to certain global fraud-fueled activities in the American and Canadian markets, and during transportation, he escaped. Since then, his exact whereabouts have remained a mystery. The last no-lawsuit against Ting were finally resolved only in 2017. His lawyers, according to rumors, continue to receive payments, which leads to speculation that at least some of the missing funds have found a quiet hiding place. But the detail remains unknown. It seems that James Ting not only became rich, but also managed to disappear into the shadow. A sad fate for Akai. From a legendary Japanese manufacturer whose GX tape recorders were considered the pinnacle of engineered artistry, only an empty shell remained. Creditors handed out brand licenses to anyone willing to pay, and since the early 2000s, the Akai logo has appeared on equipment of various origins, often far removed from the iconic reel-to-reel masterpieces of past decades. And while we can talk about the impact of Asian crisis, about how Japan's lost decade severely weakened the entire electronic industry, the key factor in Akai's collapse was fraud and dishonest dealings. And the main character of this financial detective story turned it out to be James Henry Tink, a man who managed to take control of world-renowned brands and then just spectacularly vanish along with $800 million. Such is the fate of a company that once gave audiophiles and engineer faith in the highest quality sound and endless innovation. Today, we've touched upon a story where great engineering achievements intervened with large-scale financial fraud. This serves as a reminder that the fate of even not most successful companies depends on people, their ambition, and their flaws. In human motivation lies the potential for great accomplishments that take decades to achieve, but the dark side of motivation can destroy everything in an instant, everything built by the hard work of others. Yet the technology created with true love for sound continues to live on. The reels still spin, carrying that same warmth and magic of the analog era. Friends, share the comments which Akai models you consider the most legendary. Do you own a GX635D or GXF19? Tell us how they sound today. Take care of your classic Akai devices. Friends, they remind us not only of the great days of the analog era, but also of how quickly a true legend can fall on the bright side of the force weakness. Leave a like if you found this video helpful and subscribe to Premium Hi-Fi, where we share only the most important insight about sound and technology. I want to say thank you to everyone who support Premium Hi-Fi. With your support, we can do more. Scan this QR code and contribute to creation of new videos. I guarantee this is not an offer transfer. That's all for now, dear friends. May the force of the right sound be with you.